पाप है, ये पाप नहीं होने देना हमने। तो बोले बेटी क्या चाहिए? तो मैंने कहा ताऊ जी मुझे आपके नौजवान लड़के चाहिए जिनको मैं सिपाही बनाऊंगी और आप रात को पेट्रोलिंग करोगे और ये मेरे 4 सिपाही 4 कॉर्नर्स में जाएंगे और 4 कॉर्नर को कवर करेंगे, लेकिन अंदर के गांव आप संभालोगे। लेकिन मैं झूठ नहीं बोल रही, ये 4 सिपाही हैं। लेकिन मैं आपको ये नहीं कह रही सरकार बड़ी खराब है, मुझे सिपाही नहीं दिए, जब और सिपाही आएंगे तब मैं कर पाऊंगी, बड़ी बुरी हाल है। I never said anything. I didn't criticize anybody. I just said I have only 4. What was I doing? I was building a trusting relationship. I am transparent. I have only these 4. They said बेटी कितने जितने चाहिए उतने मिलेंगे, लेकिन शर्त एक है। मैंने कहा क्या शर्त है? तुम हमको रात को देखने आओगी। So imagine, I said और बोलो रुक रुक के दूध पी के जाओगी, क्योंकि वो गांव में तब, अब तो चाय पिलाते हैं, तब दूध पिलाते थे और इतना मोटा मोटा ग्लास। सो ऐसे मारे गए, पता नहीं कितना दूध पिएंगे हाल। सो this was the way we built a relationship. It travels in the corporate world, it travels in the management world. I've seen this is nothing police and non-police. This is a management model called trusting relationships, truthful relationships, transparent relationships. When you work in alignment, the last is alignment. When you work in alignment, you're aligned from the top to the bottom. That is what Gandhiji was. It was an alignment from the top to a freedom fighter at the bottom. Trusting, empowering and aligning. Once you have this concept of T, it works wonders, my friends. And unfortunately, in our management, we learn our concepts, but we don't learn this concept of T. We say trustworthy. I can need, it was, a new concept called need basis information. I'll give you need basis. You only need to know this, therefore that's it. You only need to know this, that's it. That's what happens in our intelligence world, in the policing. We give need to know basis because we don't trust each other. Well, there are situations where you don't share information, but that's not because you don't trust, because there's something called confidentiality in intelligence relationships, which if you share largely, it will get diluted and leaked. But the fact where you must share, you must not deny that transparency and sharing. So, third, now that we are on Gandhiji's day, I would leave these 3-4 concepts of Gandhiji, which comes out of his book, Gandhi the CEO. The first lesson to be learned out of that book, and which he's talking about, is talisman. When you are at work and you are in doubt, you are in dilemma, Gandhiji always said, bring the face of the poorest man and find out, will it work for him? And if it does, then you are on the right path. Your talisman as leaders and CEOs would be, is it right for my nation? Is it according to my reputation? Is that what I was taught? Is this my value system? Is this excellence with values? Yes, pass it on. But if somebody comes and violates this, then that's the second of Gandhiji. He was non-compromisable when it came to fundamentals. He would compromise on, he could adjust and compromise on flexible in one issue, but on fundamentals, that Bapu was non-compromisable. So I think since we are on this foundation day and our day is linked with Bapuji's, one is talisman. Declare your talisman. What's your talisman? Is this product which I'm producing, is this the right product? Is this a sustainable project? Is this an environment friendly product? Is it worth the product? Or is it only extraction of profits, which leaves no basis, which leaves people high and dry? There are many things which we do and it leaves people without any value for any value of that product. So declare your talismans. Secondly, persevere. Because today the biggest challenge for any business or any idea is sustainability. And do you know sustainability cannot be achieved without innovation. My father, when I was small, he told me that, "Bache, listen to me. Your life will always be on an incline. You either go up or you come down." And sustainability without innovation, without creativity, without trust, without alignment, without empowerment will collapse. And that's why most of these economic blunders which we've had were not sustainable, because they were overspending, they were overcommitting, they were over-mortgaging. That's when the prime problems happened when property over property was remortgaged, and that's why when one did not pay, everything else collapsed and everything went, and all of us lost money. Each one of us who had any savings, the value came down, and even our relatives and friends lost homes overseas. So we all suffered by one man's blunder. And these are becoming global banks now. In fact, they're bigger than many of the countries' budgets. As I secondly told you, was perseverance, and finally the courage of conviction. What I've noticed in this youth generation, they've got the skills, they've got the hunger, they've got the drive, they've got the desire, but where they don't have, and which cannot be taught only in the schools, is courage. Courage, my friends, you come with to the schools. Courage cannot be infused easily. Courage grows with you, but it grows out of value systems, by practicing value systems. Courage is already inbuilt in you before you went to college. You got to see, will I have the courage to say no? And will I have the courage to say yes? Yes to the right and no to the wrong? Will I compromise at that time? What is my talisman? I think this, if this younger generation develops courage back, I think one of the biggest strengths, fortunately in my career, was courage, which it grew with me. I don't even know when it began. It began with just great upbringing coming from schools and colleges, from my education and my home upbringing. Somehow or the other, it just grew, and I had the courage to stand up. Somebody asked me in your community radio this morning, they asked me, why did you join the Indian Police Service? It was out of courage. It was out of courage to say no to injustice. It would not have been if I was not courageously born. So it was ingrained as a child, groomed by the parents, but further inculcated on a daily basis of fearlessness. Every businessman today, by and large, is afraid. Is afraid to show his account book. And the moment he's afraid of his account book, everybody pounces on him. Because that one fear dilutes his entire professional standing. And therefore he wants to ward them off. So har cheez ko kehta hai, ye musibat, let the wolves stay away. But the few courageous saying, khidki kuli, aa jaiye, come, here's my book, see, kya milega aapko? हाँ कुछ नहीं मिला, नहीं ये पेज और गोरा होना चाहिए था, ये थोड़ा काला हो गया. They will look for anything, but if you are courageous, you will be able to stand up. Otherwise, the systems we have today, this country is divided into two: the CWG kinds and the non-CWG kinds. It's a clearly divided between the two kinds. Unfortunately, unless we, the critical mass of courageous youth, becomes a mass, the CWGs otherwise will rule us. Today, the biggest challenge for you and the youth, you, not me, you, the youth, is to become a critical mass, excellence with values. That's the critical mass this country is waiting for. To teach these corrupt leadership, whichever the corruption may be, whether in the civil society or in the political governance or in the civil society, wherever it is to stand up to say, do you know where I've come from? I have studied from the best of the institutions where I was taught excellence with values. मैं तो ऐसे काम करूँगा और मैं इसको compromise नहीं कर सकता. But in that process, you need to be a body. You can't be left alone. There should be a body which comes back and supports you. It's the empowered body which should stand up for you. These chambers of commerce are supposed to be standing up and speaking for individuals so that the individuals are not impacted or isolated. But however, one of the key principles of CEO leadership, which Gandhiji said, is leadership is in the end alone. You as a CEO may be alone. I too was alone in many situations, but I never felt lonely. Why? Because I had something within me and my family. Remember, my friends, family remains your sheet anchor. If you have wonderful build-up relationships, you also have to have the same trust. You also have to trust your family and relationships. And you also be aligned with the family needs. It works wonders. To my mind, if you remember this concept of T, trust, empowerment and alignment, and Gandhiji's talisman, perseverance, conviction, and understand in the end you could be all alone, I think would be the perfect messages of this Foundation Day. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very enlightening and stimulating lecture indeed. But with your permission, if I could add the M of management to the concept of T and complete the acronym and make it a team, then probably the individual wouldn't have the fear of being left alone. Excellent. Thank you, ma'am. And I'm sure your lecture would have kindled a lot many queries amongst our young minds. So I'm sure you would welcome a few queries from our students. So any questions from the audience?
Ma'am, as you've been very inspired by the thought of Gandhiji, and one of the basic factors and thoughts was non-violence. But in your whole journey, sometimes violence has been with you all along. Either you are impacted or you've been involved in. So how have you managed that?
There's another word for violence, is effective behavior. Remember that. That's how I did. And it was effective behavior to the extent needed. After that, it was reformative behavior. So moment that effective behavior worked, it moved towards transformation and reformation. That's the balance which we have to learn in our lives, particularly with those who deal with power. And that's the Gandhian model of policing.
Hello, ma'am. This is a question from one of my friends. She is unable to attend this lecture. She wanted to ask, you have founded 2 of your NGOs. You are helping others. We, as a student, how we can contribute, not in the monetary terms, but since we are having Saturdays or weekends off, so how we can go there and help contribute towards your NGOs.
Well, in your case, it may have to be monetary. I'll tell you why. If you really wish to, you can come as groups to monitor, to support. Individual may not, but let's say, for instance, one student's scholarship, one student's cost for me in the Navjyoti Community College to learn English or learn computers for 3 months is, let's say, 1,000 rupees. Problem is that I would love to have you over on Saturdays and Sundays, but the children are not there on Sundays. And on second Saturdays, my other staff is not there. Third, the students look for a similar face. They want to relate to their teacher. They don't want visitors all the time. They want a visitor to come and give away the prize. Then they want a fresh face. But when it comes to teaching, then they want to relate with that teacher. And the teacher knows which student of mine needs most, because the teacher and taught is a bond of knowing each other, right? But you can help in the sense that, let's say, if it's 1,000 rupees, in 3 months' time, in a course of 3 months, it's only 1,000 rupees. 3-4 of you can come together, pool in your 200